We can probably count on there being a lot of edits in today's video. The psychology of selling. Welcome back to How to Eat Chocolate. My name is Ronald Hughes. Just to give a quick background and everything, my work in sales and psychology has spanned the last 30 years, and my interests are in motivation and the methodologies used in selling. It's really important to look at some of the details of early psychologists, where Skinner's work on limited positive and limited negative reinforcement in selling, and the behaviorist theories that I grew up with in the 70s have been outdated by modern neuroscience. I wanted to record this sort of as a reaction to the fact that there are a lot of people out there who I work with who are the proponents of something called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And I just wanted to raise a couple of quick points. Psychology has studied selling for about 100 years now, with the idea originally starting out with looking at organizations and the processes that were used in selling. We now have moved on to the language that is used. I really hate the idea to hear people talking about NLP because of the fact that we know very little about neuroscience at the moment. Human psychology and what we know about psychology has big open questions, and if you're interested in the open questions that are available in neuroscience, go ahead and take a look at some of the material that's available about what we just don't know yet. I'm interested in a couple of quick things about it. One is the things about the NLP that I have problems with is that human beings and the way our brains do function, according to the work that's been done on MRI over the last 10 years or so, is that when our attention is in a particular area, those areas rise, and when our attention is risen in a particular area, what happens is we have other areas that are deficited. What I mean by that is basically when you look at what we are able to perform cognitively, what we can only function with a certain amount of mental capacity. If you're putting your energies and your time into analyzing the language and analyzing the person's body, you're going to find that there's a lot of difficulties. One of the things that we don't understand in neuroscience is how information gets from the hippocampus onto the cortex in the first place, about how do we actually make those process analysis. The hippocampus is able to acquire information at a higher rate of speed than the cortex is in the first place. So we're catching a lot of stuff emotionally, and that is more relevant to the type of conditions that we're in, and our own probably easier to say it is paradigms, the pre-existing information that has already been accumulated. We are conditioned prior to the experience of the one particular salesperson that we're dealing with. So the idea that this salesperson can encode or implant information with us is bullshit, and there's no way of getting around that. I really don't want to get called down all the NLP practitioners on my ass, but the truth is that there's no way that they're dealing with reality. There are a lot of things. Yeah, I pointed out before that if you believe in magic, you're going to do better in the areas in which you are performing. If your concentration is full of the idea that you can't fail. Look, basically all neuroscientists tell us that we create all of our own reality in the first place. There's no such thing as a soul. There's no all of what we are is created and constructed chemically. These things are actually conditioned within us. Our beliefs and our reality is something that we structure ourselves. If you want to go forward and construct a better reality for yourself, if you want to work to a position where you're understanding and your clarity about what you're dealing with your clients is based on some sort of belief system, then go ahead and go there. What I could suggest though is there's an alternative. The alternative is to work the process. Most of what we do understand now to be around identities of our individuals and everything is about the skills that we develop. And the skills are developed over usage, the concentration and effort and energy that is developed. If you're interested in developing better emotional relationships with your customers, if you're better interested in ascertaining why this person might be suffering and removing that pain from them, then you're probably likely to be more successful at it. I like the work that a lot of the cognitive scientists have developed over the number of years that we're working with towards sales and psychology of selling. My suggestion is that maybe the foundation that they were working from, the premise that they came in on, may have been wrongly based on some sort of physicality of a nature versus nurture premise that fails to have been validated. But yet, a lot of the structures that they came up with, the ideas that they came up with, were based on the reality in which we live in, the way we think. And because it was based on the way we think, it's probable that type of information is more useful to us. What I mean by that is that if you look at a lot of the feel the fear and do it anyway type work, the fact of our incongruences, our things that we are conflicted in psychological terms, those areas where we have difficulties in removing those areas of difficulties, ways in restructuring the way that we think with the cognitive behavioral therapies are the work that's done in restructuring our thinking, creating what the NLP practitioners link into the idea of anchoring and modeling, about visualization, creative ways of developing your alternate reality. If you utilize those pieces, what you can construct for yourself is a position where you're more secure, more empowered to be successful. I think we'll leave that at that, and I'll create something else for any future ideas about what might be wrong on the other side. In the meantime, thanks very much for listening today.